Hi, I'm Larry Dignan with Constellation Insights, and the debate this week is focused on whether the worst is over for SaaS. Esteban, let's start with you.
I don't understand. The whole SaaS apocalypse was based on pricing concerns. Once we solved that, which took about not even 2 days, then what are we talking about? Yes, the worst is over for SaaS. There's no problem. Continue growing. They figure out AI. All is good.
Well, part of the idea was everybody was going to use Claude, Codex, whatever, and
Uh,
roll their own software, and you wouldn't have to pay these hostage rates.
I saw a great post this morning from somebody who said, "This is my code before Claude," and it was one line that actually aimed to understand if the first letter of a word was a capital letter. And this is the code that Claude provided: 500 lines and 2.5 million dollars in tokens to understand if the first letter is a capital
and it's
K.
and it's wrong 40% of the time.
Yeah,
Obviously Esteban's got a good point, but it's kind of simplified, right? About pricing and lock in and all that kind of stuff. But no one's going to build entire systems or platforms anytime soon with vibe coding. But there are going to be some SaaS companies out there that aren't going to be around much longer, right? I think we can agree to that, right? That who provides value in this new age of agentic and vibe coding and all that kind of stuff, and who doesn't, will start to become more evident over the next few years.
I disagree. I think that all the SaaS vendors will remain because they have established footprint in the enterprise that cannot be dismantled. It's not just a question of vibe coding. I mean, it's a question of the value provided is beyond the simple interface, which is all that vibe coding can do. It's a simple interface. The value is in the intricate relationships and integrations and implementations in the back end, traction and integration with legacy that took like years to resolve. Things like that are not going to be replaced by vibe coding.
In the enterprise. But I'm thinking of, the point products that are out there in the SMB, SME that kind of just do one thing. And a lot of their implementers or users aren't necessarily integrating them with a lot of things, or
There's no money in the SME. I mean, come on, seriously.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Nothing.
There's no money anyway, so these guys aren't going to be around much longer.
Okay, look,
The pittance they were getting, like when you look at margin compression for companies that were doing 7% growth, and you know what I mean, like it's not going to be a good, it's not going to be great for some vendors, right?
you cannot tell me. I don't know if AI is doing it or it's just an excuse. There are so many zombie SaaS companies out there.
Yes.
And most of them owned by private equity, which, by the way, are watching
Yeah.
bonds collapse as we speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see a shakeout. What's unclear to me is whether AI is just an excuse for that shakeout or the cause of it.
I mean, look, the bottom line is like if a vendor went on the market and provided limited value that they eroded over time, they're not going to be around no matter what you call it and how you justify it. This is why all these companies that are in private equity are collapsing. Is because they had no value to provide.
Yeah.
That's beyond anything else. But if you are an established SaaS vendor with good, legacy and implementations, take Teradata. How long has Teradata been around? I mean, Teradata is not going to private equity because it's a money machine. And that's because you can replace them. So if you establish yourself in a way that cannot be replaced, you'd be around forever.
We've talked about systems of record being the ones that kind of survive, and I think there was a bit of a shake on that. But now it's a system of value, right? Not even systems of action, people talking about it, but like I think value is really what it comes down to. Do you provide value as a vendor, and is that not super commoditized, right?
If I spend 3 years and $25 million connecting my system to a database that is being held by duct tape and the hope that George never retires, then that's never going to be replaced.
AWS launched, they basically expanded Connect to, do talent, supply chain, healthcare, and, the customer call center stuff they were doing. And there was something Matt Garman said that kind of stuck with me. On the one hand, a lot of legacy SaaS providers, he pointed out Salesforce and a few others, are, they've revamped, absorbed AI, become better for it, etc. And he says that as he's basically trying to abstract away a bunch of enterprise apps. Which side plays out, do you think? I mean, do you agree?
I don't think that Amazon is going to be a player in the SaaS world because you can hire as many people as you want, but the DNA of the company is not aligned with what a SaaS company can do. EMC, BMC tried that in the 90s. CA tried that in the odds. I mean, companies that are hardware or that are like an infrastructure providers trying to get into software never works out. Connect is one of the examples of how it doesn't work. I mean, to me, Amazon Connect is a good, like, entry level tool setup, but it doesn't do more than that. And I don't think they're going to be able to expand that into an enterprise presence.
Their distribution model, how they go to market, like you said, some of that DNA just doesn't really match with how, enterprise software vendors are built and look. And, and there's companies that already know better. Google doesn't usually move into the space because it knows better. It knows it's not that kind of company in a different way that Amazon is, but I don't think it makes a ton of sense.
Well, that's it for this week's debate. We could probably debate this every week for probably the next year. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.